A victory for the Lions and a lot of questions for the Kansas City Chiefs. 800-224-2004. Not really a lot, actually, if we're being completely honest. For those of you that want to go ahead and chastise and criticize the likes of what we know as Baby Goat 2.0, Patrick Mahomes, go ahead. He's an easy target right now. That's the best way I can put it. But you can't blame Patrick Mahomes for what happened in last night's game. Was every throw pristine, perfect? No. Was every pass right on the money? No. Was every situation handed his way an absolute easy win? No. But did he have a good game? For the most part, yes. Did he have a quality performance? For the most part, yes. Except when it came to throwing the football to literally nearly anybody not named Travis Kelce. I lied to you yesterday. I lied to America. I lied to everybody that works at Sports Map Radio. I lied to all my listeners, so I apologize. I said that Patrick Mahomes can do this all on his own. And for the most part, Patrick Mahomes is a one-man wrecking crew. He can ruin your day with one pass. He can easily change the course of a game with one touchdown. And his utilization and athleticism will allow him to control the overall outcome of most matchups. But the man cannot do this alone. And I think that last night was a final culmination of understanding why you need to continue to build around Mahomes for the foreseeable future. So here's the good news. They did add in a young receiver that found the end zone once last night in Rashee Rice. This was the second round pick out of SMU. I think he had like 3 catches or 4 catches. He had a touchdown grab. So you did get a young receiver that maybe is going to give you some positivity on the outside. But in the same token, you have other young receivers that did not impress last night. Sky Moore, couple drops. Sky Moore, couple throws that were a little over his head, but still he could have come down with. Noah Gray, not basically a second version of Travis Kelce. Kadarius Toney. Oh, good God. Good God, man. Like, I know overreactions are such a big thing to fall into, and we always seem to catch ourselves in the Venus flytrap that is week 1 of the NFL. But good God, man. If you were a New York Giants fan last night, if you were a member of the front office of the brand new scouting department of, if you're Joe Shane, you were sitting there laughing. You are sitting there having a field day because Kadarius Toney in an instant changed this game for the worse. Kadarius Toney in one breath made this a nightmare for Kansas City because it wasn't just a couple of drop balls. It was a drop ball that led to an interception to Brian Branch that gave momentum right back to Detroit to where they were able to march down the field and start to realize we are a team that can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the NFL. We are a team that does mean business, and we're not going to allow anyone else out there to tell us otherwise. Marcus Valdes-Scantling, he had 2 targets, he had 2 catches. Good for him. Justin Watson, he had 1 massive drop, 1 big catch. I think it was like a 25-yarder, but he had 1 incredible, inexcusable drop. You didn't have a great play from Blake Bell. You didn't have great play from Jerick McKinnon. You targeted a lot of players, like Richie James, I think had like 3 targets in the game, 1 catch. Justin Ross really wasn't utilized properly. But, I mean, if you are Kadarius Toney, 1 catch for 1 yard on 5 targets, plus you allow that interception, you are feeling terrible this morning. And I don't want to continue to beat the dead horse, but it's an easy target right now. It really is. Mahomes is the GOAT in the NFL right now, the way that we put it. And among all of these superstar, hyper-athletic, incredible quarterbacks that are reigning supreme, the days of the dinosaurs are over. No more Ben Roethlisberger, no more Phillip Rivers, no more Tom Brady, no more Drew Brees. You have to be able to be an athlete first and a quarterback second. Josh Allen's doing that. You're seeing Lamar Jackson do that. You're watching Mahomes do that. You even see Trevor Lawrence be able to boot and scoot a little bit. In today's world, you have got to be able to be a superstar athlete. But in also today's world, you cannot do this alone. That's the best way I can put this. Travis Kelce's impact was felt last night. Sitting on the sidelines, watching the game with the towel around his neck, basically watching that caterpillar try and crawl off his face. You saw in last night's game the value of a Travis Kelce. And the thing is that I'm not even going to blame Mahomes for this one, because Mahomes tried to target as many receivers as possible. He did his job. He did. He found ways to make the hard stuff look easy and the impossible stuff look presentable. That's what he did in last night's game. So I would say you can take that as a positive for Kansas City. And here's the best part of all. It's week one. It is week one. You have a long time to figure this stuff out. And you still, in my opinion, are the team to beat. You had some good moments. You had some quality play defensively at times. Offensive line was good. The Jawan Taylor thing is going to bother a lot of people. It didn't bother me. I don't really care. Like, I know that we're going to talk about how he was lined up basically as a fullback. Okay. I mean, there are other players in the NFL that do the same stuff, so I don't want to hear it. But the thing is that you cannot just be a one-man wrecking crew. Like, Josh Allen is a perfect example of this. Remember last year when we were talking about how the Bills are maybe underachieving, and partially that was due to a regression of the play calling from Ken Dorsey, from what Brian Dable implemented, from what we saw with the receiving game, not really an excellent number 2 pass catcher outside of Stephon Diggs. But Allen kept you in games. I mean, Allen was able to do basically everything you wanted. And did he have a lot of interceptions? Absolutely. Did his play calling overall and his play take a slight step back? A little bit. But in the same breath, they still made it to the playoffs. And then they reached a point where there was no return. That's where you are if you are Mahomes this morning. The good news is that Travis Kelce will be back on the field. The good news is that they do at least have receivers in the room that can use this as a learning lesson for what went wrong. And the best news is you still, in my opinion, are the team to beat. You still are the roster that everyone is chasing. And for good reason. You've won 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years. 4 years. You've also been a team that has consistently found their way since Mahomes took over as the starting quarterback to the AFC conference title game. Like, you have been that team. And until someone consistently is able to go toe-to-toe with you and puff out their chest and say, go ahead and knock us down, we're going to be the enforcers, you have a shot. You still are the best run organization in the NFL, period. That's my opinion. That is my opinion. But you have to also admit that last night's game showed you exactly why having great wide receiver play is important, having an excellent security blanket and a go-to receiver, whether that be a tight end, whether that be in the backfield, whether that be on the outside, in the slot, they have to be there. You saw that in last night's game because Mahomes, most nights, everything else goes awry, he still has 87. He still has that go-to target that is going to open up the passing game and keep him involved. So that's a huge win for Mahomes. And until you get the rapport with either a Kadarius Toney, which is never going to happen, a Sky Moore, which I think could happen, a Rashee Rice, which I know, as of right now, is your best bet on the outside, you are going to have questions moving forward. That's the bottom line of it. 800-224-2004. Do I think that Kansas City is going to be a team that takes a massive step back? I don't know. I don't. Because I need to know, when am I getting back a Travis Kelce? On the same breath, I need to know when I'm going to get back a Chris Jones. The defense did a fine job last night overall pressuring Jared Goff into making mistakes. I can't fault them at that. And I can't even fault them that there were times that the run defense, an area that is a massive strength for Chris Jones, was presentable. Not elite by any means, but it was presentable. You were able to have some success. But having Chris Jones on the field is necessary if you want to keep this thing alive for a while. Not just for this year and maybe 2 years down the line, but until you find a quality replacement, you need a guy like Chris Jones. And that was very, very, very evident at times, especially inside the red zone. I mean, David Montgomery being able to punch it in, I think it was like from 4 yards out. That's a run that usually does not happen, especially when you have 95. It also doesn't happen on third down. You get off the field, you get the ball back to Mahomes, and that's a huge advantage for you to be able to go ahead and keep the motion and keep the persona alive. So good stop. Good stop. I'm not ready to say anything negative about Kansas City. Like, they get a mulligan for this game. Because think about this for a second. Mahomes didn't have great weaponry. He didn't have his go-to guy. You didn't have the best defensive player on your team. And you lost to a roster that, honestly, a lot of people was calling the next breakout team by 1 point. So if you lose by 1 point without your superstar tight end and security blanket and your best defensive player, you still are one of the best teams in the NFL. But moving forward, it's very clear Mahomes cannot do this all on his own.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.